Hi, I'm Margie from Marjorie's Candies, and what I'm going to make for you today are raised donuts. We have a YouTube for cake donuts, but these are raised. So what we start with in here is about 1/4 cup of warm water, and I'm just going to sprinkle some yeast over it and let that sit until it dissolves. Let's give it a little stir around. Okay. And then over here, that's going to just dissolve about 5 minutes. And then here, I'm going to start some milk. This is 3/4 cup of milk. And I'm going to bring that just to a simmer, just to scald it. And then I'm going to turn that off. And then this is the oil. And I have about just enough oil to cover the bowl at the bottom of the thermometer. I'm just going to start that just warm. Just going to get it warmed up because raised donuts, they have to take a lot of time, so I may end up turning it off. But I just want to heat it up slowly. So we'll be back as soon as this gets a little bit more dissolved, and then we'll start with the next step. Okay, now the milk came to a scald, meaning just little bubbles. Okay, I'm going to cool it down because I cannot add it to the yeast. Okay, until it cools down just a little bit. So I'm going to add these ingredients, which will help to cool it down. Pretty much we're going to add everything. Okay, and I don't want to add the egg yet either until it just comes down a little bit. We'll add the vanilla. Add everything we can to get it to cool down. That's good. I beat up 1 egg. We're going to add that. If that had been a cold egg, that would be good too, because that would help it to cool down a little faster. Okay. And then, you feel it. Oh, that's fine. This is perfect. Now, it's just very warm to the touch. Now, the yeast is dissolved. Okay, it kind of looks like that. The yeast is nicely dissolved, foamed up a little bit. Now I'm going to add that to the yeast. Then we're going to add some flour. Now I have a combination of white flour and whole wheat flour here. You don't have to use any whole wheat flour if you don't want, but we were just grinding flour. We just made this out of wheat berries. My grandson helped me do a video on grinding wheat berries into flour. So the recipe calls for 3½ cups of flour. So I'm going to add some mostly white flour. Okay, I'll add half of this. So we'll save this for kneading, and then I'm going to add some of my whole wheat flour. It just makes such a nice flavor. Alright, and we're just going to stir this in. And we'll continue to add, I'm going to add all the whole wheat flour, and then I'm going to continue to add white flour. I only want to use this much whole wheat. Maybe not even quite that much. Okay? They still come out light, and they just have a little bit more of a nutty flavor, and it's just so nice. Add a little more. That's all. I'm not going to add any more. Set that aside. The rest will be the white flour, but we only need it until we need it. Until we need it. That's really funny. Until we don't need any more flour, which you'll see when that happens, okay? This is a dough that you're going to roll out. So you want it to be a little bit dry, but honestly, it's warm, there's liquid in here. You don't want to add so much flour that it dries it out immediately while you're stirring, because if you let this sit in the bowl for a little bit, it will absorb a lot of this moisture and you won't need to add as much flour as you think. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this just like this, and we're going to let it just rest for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to come back to it, and then we'll see how much more flour we need to add to knead the dough. Okay? Okay, now I'm going to, it's been sitting resting. I like to do that. This type of recipe, they don't always tell you to do that. But I just always, when I work with yeast, I just try to be really gentle. It just helps the recipe come out better in the end. So this is still a little sticky, okay, but it's very perfect because you want it to be very light, okay. And normally when I'm making bread, I might wash this bowl out at this point because I'm going to put it back into here, but I'm just going to let this dough sit on the table until we're ready to roll it out. So this is how I will knead this out until it's good. So I'll show you just a little bit. I use a dock scraper to get started because it helps me to not have quite so much flour. You want to keep these real light. See how nice and soft that is? But you can add more flour, but this scraper does help. It also helps keep the table clean. So what I'm going to do, I don't do this the whole time. After a while I will be able to use just my hands, okay, without it sticking. And I'll be back when this gets to be a good texture, nice and smooth, okay? Okay, so now the dough is very nice, okay, just like you want it to rest. Okay, so I've been scraping the board and saving all the little pieces that you wouldn't want to get back into your dough. And I'll just show you, it really doesn't stick. It's really very nice. Okay, so you know it's all ready to let rise for an hour. So I'm just going to put a teeny bit of dusting down here, just so it doesn't stick. And I'm going to put something wet over it. And it's just I'm going to let it sit until double, or, you know, an hour maybe, but really double. You want to look for the size more than the time. So we'll be back then. Now, this has been resting for about an hour, maybe 40 minutes or so, but that looks really good. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press it down, and because there's air in there, I'm just going to get the air out and let it sit for a few minutes. Okay, then we'll be back. Okay, so now what I did was I punched it down and I just let it rest for about 10 minutes, just so, because the dough likes to do that. Now I have, this is a donut cutter, okay, and I'm just going to roll this dough out to about a ½ inch. And then we're going to, looks really pretty. Now, like I said, you do not have to use whole wheat flour. You just don't. But they really are so good with it. Okay, that's good. I think that's going to be just fine. You wouldn't want it to be more than a ½ inch, but it'll just be smaller or thinner. You don't want it to be too fat. Okay, so that's really pretty good. And we're going to let them rise again, and then we'll cook them. Okay, now I have the fat on. I'm going to turn it up a little bit more. I've been watching it. Okay, I'll just put a little bit more flour on here. It's not sticky at all. And we're just going to push down and make a few. And we're going to set them on a cookie sheet. Well, I probably could have done better than that one. Okay, we'll bring this over, and then I'll finish it up. I'm just going to place these. I'm going to take the holes out, let them rise separately, and we're just going to set them on here. And I'm going to cover them with a piece of plastic wrap, and we'll come back when they're a little bit, I'm going to watch them. It shouldn't take more than 15 or 20 minutes. Let them rest, rise a little, then we'll cook them in the fat. We'll be back. Bye. This video was actually too long to put up on YouTube with showing you how to make this. So what I've done is I've given you the ingredients, but if you visit my channel, you'll be able to see the video clip. Okay, now the fat is ready to cook the donuts. So I'm going to just place it in like this and let go. Stay here. Okay, we'll put another one in. Sorry, excuse me. Place another one. I'm going to put 4 in. Okay. Now you're going to want them to get golden brown. Now the temperature dropped a little bit I thought it was pretty hot, but now it's on about 370. It should be up to 375, so it's going to come back up again. They'll get all puffy, and then you want them to get golden brown. So give them a little flip. The other side. Then we'll take them out and we'll put them on our little tray here. And I'll glaze them. And we'll pour the glaze over them, and then the glaze goes on the bottom, and we scrape it out and put it back into the bowl with the dock scraper. You just pick up the glaze and put it back into your bowl and you reuse it. So you can use really as much as you want each time you use the glaze. See how they're doing. They don't take very long. I think they're done. One more moment. Okay, that's good. Let them drain a little bit. They'll still drip on here. Okay. And then we'll put some glaze on. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but you just kind of pour it on, and it flows off the sides. Like I said, you can use as much as you want. You can reuse it. I've already made several donuts, that's why my icing is disappearing. So each time you pick it up, you do lose some. That's okay, these will be fine. Okay. And Luke, you can show everybody how some donuts look here that have already been covered with some glaze. So that's the raised donuts. Let's see what they look like inside. So that's pretty light. They're whole wheat, so like I said, you don't need to use that whole wheat flour, but these are so good. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm going to finish making my donuts, and I will see you again soon. Bye.